Hello everyone. Welcome back to the stream. Today we are at Daytona for my first race at Daytona in a long while. Um, yeah, I'm interested to see how this will go. I'm not a big fan of Daytona. Um, Even just the 30 minutes of practice I did before stream here, it's about 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes. Even I was already feeling like a slog. Oh my, this track, I just don't think it's anything. I would say this is the most overrated track in existence. It is so mediocre. Yeah, I can't, I don't see why people like it so much. Maybe come the race, maybe then, yeah, it might be a bit more enjoyable. That's what quite a few people say is, oh, comes good in the race. Rather than hot lapping. But yeah, there's just no interesting corners to it, to be honest. Um, and the most interesting corners are like, oh yeah, those corners are not good for racing. They're difficult to run side by side through. So yeah, Daytona, I make clear. Yeah, it's maybe not necessarily. It's in competition with Qatar for worst circuit in LMU. But there's a general dislike for Qatar. Is that, oh yeah, it's not one of the great tracks in LMU. Some people say Daytona is great, and yeah, so that's why I call it the most overrated. It is time to get going here for qualifying, which I'm not looking forward to. But yeah, let's see. This is my first race in with ADRR, or pronounced Adder, as the rulebook says. Always interesting when community has to put pronunciation in the rulebook. But yeah, long pit lane. We were on the first half away from pit exit, so yeah, long run to you get to the actual pit exit where you can turn the limiter off. Which means with the cool tires as well, we'll only have time for about 6 flying laps. We maybe would have time for a 7th, but it would be tight. I'm like, I'd rather not run the lap of fuel to then not get the lap in. So we go through this long process of warming up these ELMS tires. We've been through it plenty of times now with the RCI series. Oh yeah, I forgot. Of course, the RCI series. I did a couple of seasons over the last couple of months with this ELMS LMP2, so quite familiar with it now. Still very much enjoy it as a car, and yeah, a good couple of seasons. It was nice to race without the stress of streaming, to be honest. But yeah, interested to see how this this race goes at Daytona. Of course, it's less about learning the car and more about learning the circuit. The format for today. We have the STEMIC qualifying session, which, when you consider how long it takes these tires to get up to temperature, especially a track like Daytona, there are no high-speed corners. You only have medium and slow speed corners, and then you have a couple of quite long flat out sections for the tires to cool down during. So it's actually quite difficult to get tires up to temperature here. You never really get them into the optimum temperature. They always just sit like 10 degrees below it. So yeah, another reason to not like this track. But does also mean the tyre wear is fairly low as well. But yeah, after this semi-qualifying session, we have a 15-minute race, 2 times fuel usage, as you can see in the bottom right. It's normal tyre wear usage. You can sort of tell by the fact we're still on 99%, if not 100%, having done nearly 2 laps at this point. Some people having a lot more confidence to push on these opening laps. It typically is a little bit of a struggle for myself compared to some of the other quick people. The cool tires, I just don't have the confidence on them. Very deep into second horseshoe. But yeah, we'll have 3 laps left when we complete this one. 3 laps to start to really push. Start to feel a bit more of the limits of this car. Which are certainly, you know, quite far. You can really push this car even with the tires that don't get fully up to temperature at this track. And also with, of course, the long flat out sections, you burn a lot of fuel. It's most likely going to be a 2-stop race here. Also, it feels like my frame rate is struggling just a little bit. Front left locking. Top 3 within 48 thousandths. But they're all going to get into the 34s. I don't know if I'll get into the 34s. Certainly going to get into the 35s. Not the best turn 1. Braking too late for the first horseshoe. Front left lock up. That brake by Susan. Right place where I want it. We need a second to break into the top 3. I don't think I'm going to quite do that, but I think I need a little bit more time if I want to try and hold on to P4. But that 1.6 seconds between 3rd and 5th I hate that track limit. They could had to give up what 3 seconds here just to clear that track limit. Because if you don't know, if you get a track limit there on the exit of the bus stop, it will also invalidate your next flying lap. It's not that long of a run into T1. That was, again, even worse T1 than last time. Maybe I'm just trying to overdrive. It doesn't look like it's going to be an improvement. Maybe slightly. But I'd rather practice pit entry than gain 100th of a second. Yeah, that's a pretty poor qualifying. I'm not happy with that qualifying session really at all. I felt like there's another couple of attempts in it. Not a tremendous amount, but yeah, there was definitely time in it. I mean, we have a little over a second to the next car in front of us. 2 tenths to the car behind. Thankfully, you know, that gap has come down to 1.2 seconds. Third and fifth that we occupy. But yeah. Fairly close at the front. But then, yeah, spreads out quite a bit. Looks like we have a few people that haven't showed up, unfortunately. Yeah, make sure if new tires on full fuel. Just do a little bit of calculating. So it is 50. That's 3,000. Divide by probably 135s at the front. That's 95s. 32 laps. Okay. Hi. By. This is a fuel saving number. Alright, that number, and then by. This is a flat out number. Okay. So we can probably go 26 laps. The race will probably come down to 31 laps. So it'll be 28 for the last stop. So it'll be 100. We'll see what we have at the end of the first stint. I might not do 75, I might do like 73 liters in the second stint, and then 28. Awful long time the server's taking here to switch over. Just as I say that.
Go to the grid for a race start.
Just as I say that. Obviously, without tire warmers, normal tire wear, and being a 50-minute race, even though we're doing 2 stops, we will not be taking tires at any point. Probably do a bit brake riding on this formation. Yeah, just try and get heat. Obviously, have the brakes up to temperature for T1 and help with temperature in the tires. Let it radiate out. Cheers, Dave. Yeah, if judging by Monday's owned race, might be a bit tricky, that one, given how that went and how chaotic that was. But we'll try. I mean, I don't think I'm gonna be too worried about the hypercar, or hypercars, the P2s, because if judging by qualifying, we might find ourselves in a little bit of no man's land. But the GT3s, sorry, you never know with them. That was a weird server moment. LMU doing LMU things. Yeah, exactly. Bit nervous for T1. But we'll just take it safe. Tires are really cooling down. Ready for the start.
Green flag, green flag.
Car in front, got a DT. Don't know if that was just unfortunate from the little lag moment. Thought the car in the inside might have had a wee go since I was being quite cautious, but no, they didn't. Frame rate's struggling. Bit of a moment there for Aaron with the DT. LMU doing LMU things again. Temporarily gives us P3 as Lewis runs wide there. Not ideal, because now we're going to get passed by Lewis and it's probably going to hold us up. I'll take a 0.25. Thankfully, car behind hasn't sort of kept up through the bus stop. And despite the series being, don't say that, Tyler will shout at you. Tyler can shout all he wants. And there goes the server again. Yeah, I need to push a little bit more, partly for tire temperature and partly for pace. And then the two will kind of come together. I can run through the bus stop. But yeah, despite the series being called Flat Out Thursdays, it does encourage fuel saving in a way. The 2 times fuel usage, of course, being a part of that. Move for P2. Running the inside of the curb. Server moment again. Just try and get a good exit. Yeah, the exits we're getting are decent. Leader's alright, 5.5 seconds up the road. They really closed up on the entry to the bus stop, but then didn't carry the speed through the bus stop there. I don't know if just sort of caught out by the fact that I am saving a bit of fuel. Here comes Iron in for that very costly DT. They'll be hoping that they can get out in front of the GT3s. Car behind really confident on the brakes. Much closer this time. That was a rough ride over the curbs on the exit. I was contemplating letting him go for it, but I don't know. Because if I sit behind him, I could fuel save even more. That's a bad time to have server moment. I think I need to be more aggressive on the brakes. Doing so might just get a little more temperature into the front axle. Because it definitely feels like front end that's sort of the limiting factor for me. Car behind was a bit better through the bus stop that time. Of course, the pace is going to get better lap time wise as the fuel load burns off. That wasn't a good line. They really slowed up in the braking zone there. I thought it was going to line behind. Oh, that's server moment. First lap they get in clean air and they immediately spin coming onto the oval. That's rough for them. You spend this whole time following a car like, oh, just get in front, just get in front. You finally do, and then you throw it all away. I want to try and find a little bit more pace because I had more pace in the practice session. I got 35.2 during the practice session. Hi Eddie. LMP2, yes. Not your favourite WEC version though. Is the ELMS version. As we are starting to catch traffic. Things have certainly spread out behind us. We do have a couple of cars starting to just ease their way towards us. Of course, GT3 much more aggressive on the brakes. Feels alright. That Ferrari just... It didn't start moving across, so I thought it wasn't going to move across. I had to make a decision and it hadn't. Didn't seem like it had made its mind up. Unfortunately, we got caught up in that bit of traffic. It's cost a little bit more time than the cars behind have suffered. Yeah, and I've now got a really poor run here. Which is a shame. Much braver on the brakes though. Risky move that. Yeah, traffic's not being the kindest there. We've got 5 more cars to go before we're past the leader and into clean air again. Where are these GT3 cars going to put themselves? Yeah, not nerve-wracking at all. that's a bit of good traffic luck for us. Because we didn't lose time passing them, but the car behind, as you can see, certainly losing a lot of time. 2 more cars to go. Not ideal timing there. Should have lifted sooner coming into the bus stop, but wasn't too much time lost. The interesting thing is we're coming up to our pit stop, so we're probably going to merge into some of the traffic. No, it's not. Luckily, like, it's mainly been the fronts locking, and they've not been major lockups, I found, here. And maybe because the tires are still a little cold, I haven't found them to be too damaging. Leaders pitting now. Now this is the interesting part where we get to see who's been saving fuel and who hasn't. Because this extra lap before pitting could pay dividends when it comes to the traffic when we emerge from the pit stops. But honestly, we've only passed the traffic so recently, and with there not being too many corners that the P2s can really show their advantage over the GT3s. The lap time difference isn't that much. It's like 10 seconds. Whereas other tracks you're expecting more like 15 seconds. So it might not actually make that much of a difference. Marks perfectly there. I'm just going a little bit less fuel, just to make sure I get out in front of the car I was racing with. And, just extend that gap a little bit. Because they've also probably come into the pits with, like, 3 liters of fuel. You know, so they're putting no more than 72 in. I've come in with 1 liter. Oh. Second place starter, Aaron, now currently saying P8. Another stop-go penalty. 2 penalties. Ugh. Another nice advantage is, of course, we have a much clearer pit lane, saving that lap of fuel. Of course, the less time you spend in pit lane, the less your tires cool down. They just retain that little bit more heat, which can help. Yeah, we're clear. By about 3 seconds. Might as well start bringing this down. It's 28. Yeah, and we are... Well, GT3s might be pitting soon. Another stop-go penalty there for someone. But get quite cloudy, which is going to cool allow the track to cool down, which isn't necessarily nice. Lovely time for that Ferrari to make that mistake of running in deep. I don't know if they got scared or intimidated. I was just a little worried about the bumps because you've got like a couple of connections in the road to like some of the motorbike layouts, I think it is there. And those bumps, you know, in a car without ABS, of course, can just cause you to have a lock. And with another car in front, just, yeah, far from ideal. Yep, a lot of GT3s into the pits. Nice. As we definitely lost a bit of time with that traffic. Also, you'll notice that the rear tire wear is quite a bit higher around here than the fronts. Does get me a little nervous trying to put down the power. Don't make the same mistake as that other person made at this corner. as soon as they go in front of us. They're in way too quick into the bus stop. Car stopped there. Oh. That's a bad time to look over the Discord. Of course, could turn the TC up a click, but of course that will cost time. Maybe after the final pit stop, if we've got a bit of a gap, which we should do if we're fuel saving and the car behind isn't. I also make sure I'm braking on the racing line for this second horseshoe. I think it's why I'm getting the odd lock. I think the car behind caught the GT3 in the bus stop there. Might only have been briefly on the exit, but I think they did, which would have cost them a little bit. And now we're actually about to go through the GT3s all again anyway, despite the pit stop sequences. Real bad time for a server moment, and a real bad time to catch a GT3. This is going to be a really bad point to catch a GT3 number 2. That pass always scares me a little bit. had to really slow up there because I was expecting that fry to just pinch back to the apex. So I had to make sure I didn't put myself in that position. Hopefully can get past Denise here in front nice and quick. If you don't know, Denise, or at least one of the UI designers for Le Mans Ultimate. And is somewhat involved in the community. Yeah. This is the awkward bit, isn't it? Was a little awkward, but we got through. I've definitely found a little more confidence in turn 1. You can tell the fact that despite the extra fuel and tire wear from the first stint, I'm finding time on the Delta every lap. One of the other cars behind us, I think it was Barrett. No, Bullock got a drive-through apparently. I can't remember if Barrett was one of the cars that was close to us or not, but he's now the next one for us to lap in front. We also have a couple of GT3s that we should get before T1. Again, scary. They're going to be very generous, which I greatly appreciate. Not scary at all. That was really bad timing. Really bad timing indeed. I felt the rear end just slide a little bit there through the heading towards the third apex. I mean, it was kind of good for rotation in that moment, but I wouldn't want that consistently. What's that? They must have an issue. No. I can't just rejoin there. That's annoying. I don't even know why I did that much different. I couldn't lift because the GT3 was right behind me. So if I lifted at my normal point, that would just have created a very awkward moment. One of those situations that you only notice and can only prepare for if you've done a full second stint when the tire wear imbalance is as bad as it is. And obviously that spin has not helped. 5.5 seconds is the gap. How much we'll gain from the fuel saving? I don't know. Hopefully we don't lose too much time with the lapped traffic. And then on this lap, the front left just locks. Minutes to go in the race. Gained 0.3 there that lap. Another thing is, do I put an extra liter of fuel in so I don't have to lift and coast the final stint? Obviously, it's a fraction more time. It's like half a second more in pit lane. But in a wheel-to-wheel battle, you know, having to lift and coast really hurts. We've technically already got half a liter extra. I don't think I will add the extra liter. The only thing I need to hope for is I don't get held up here. Denise didn't quite carry that speed through the bus stop last time we came up on her. GT3 car, which will hopefully get past. We're not. That's a second and a half. That, oh my, that really was unfortunate. Hopefully I've got a shorter pit time than Denise so I can come out ahead of her. Which we do. Nice. Oh, that traffic. I mean, if I'm like within a second but behind them, that is going to be so annoying. They're hopefully going to have traffic into T1 here. It looks like they will. Yay. The first time I've locked a brake all race. I can go flat out because it looks like the race is going to be a lap short. Only 30 instead of 31 laps. tried to get a good exit because I knew Denise would be a little bit slower, and they were so close that they just get held up a little bit. Please, can I get through? Thank you. It'll be last lap. Ah, yeah, there's the rear tires struggling. Good run through the chicane for the final time. Uh... I'm annoyed about that. Yeah, that spin into T1. I'm not sure what happened with that. Yeah, the LMP2s as unforgiving as always. Yeah, and I felt like I should have had a little bit more pace based on what I ran in practice. Um, so yeah, just out of interest, here's some data between a lap I did um, about an hour before the session started and now. I mean, turn one, yeah, just lifting a little bit sooner, which of course cost a bit of time, but braking sooner, yeah, just not carrying the same speed into the corner. Interestingly, um, again, just braking it a little bit earlier. Felt like I was, really on the limit of braking. Um, had good mid corner speed, but yeah, look at the lack of confidence on throttle I had. This practice has like, oh yeah, full confidence, just pin it in. Okay, it wasn't that much speed because we were still sort of mid corner. Yeah, interesting. Um, Here again, just braking earlier. I felt like I was braking quite late. Um, Although here actually, carried good mid corner speed. Um, wasn't too much of a difference. It's kind of like gain lost time into the corner. All right, good mid corner, but then lost a little bit on the exit. Two different approaches didn't have that much speed difference. This one has lifted slightly sooner and slightly later on throttle. Again, Jessica being a little bit braver, but didn't want to risk making some mistake as the car in front of us did. And then bus stop. Not wow. Yeah, that's a big difference. Nearly 20 kilometers an hour slower through the first apex. Held the brake on. Yeah, just held the brake on a bit too long. Scrub off too much speed. Corrected it, for the exit. Yeah, second apex. Yeah, I kind of knew I was too slow because I put throttle on a little bit. But then look how much, commit to full throttle there right on the get go. Whereas here is like, should we go full throttle? Not just yet. We did to the exit. And then, yeah, 1 kilometer an hour down at the start of the straight. Very similar towards the end. Um, but yeah, optimal lap was 35.7, but this was a 35.2. So even even if I did my optimal lap during that race, it would have been half a second off a lap I did put in. Not just an optimal lap, a lap I did do in practice with very similar fuel saving. Yeah, didn't do very well that race. Did not do very well. Uh, yeah, and the rear lock moment. I mean, can go to. Let's just see. It'd be lap 27. Um, Here. Yeah, I just panicked a little bit. I think as the car was coming up to me, and I kind of. I was fine. I didn't need to push the brake pedal anymore. I just kind of panicked since the car was right there in my mirrors, and just a little bit frustrated by the time loss with the traffic on the previous lap. Yeah, yeah, not happy with that race from my perspective. How you felt earlier this week in the Aston? Because yeah, that whole first stint is like I feel like I have more pace in me, but I didn't know exactly what I was doing different, but did it felt like I was doing something different. And yeah, the confidence just wasn't there. I was being a bit too timid, scared of making a mistake, forgetting that oh yeah, these P2s like that lap I did at low 35. That was a lap I really pushed the car. And it's like oh yeah, this car does respond to that. Um, it's sometimes easy to forget think oh it's mainly the high speed that the car responds well to inputs and that you can really push it. But even in the mid speed, you can push it a bit. And low speed, you can actually put in quite a bit of steering angle, low speed, um, and you know really get turned. So yeah, I'm disappointed in that performance. If I drove as well as I did in that practice session, I mean, although to be fair, like in the practice session, if I take here, um, it's this set of laps, timing. It's this stint. Um, the laps in that early part weren't much better. It was then one lap here. It's like okay, started to get better, and then it got even better. Um, in obviously, I think this point here where I found the pace in practice when I sort of got comfortable and I got the confidence to start pushing was when the traffic came in the race, and so rather than finding my rhythm and finding the pace, it is then right into the traffic and couldn't get it. Maybe that's what happened. Either way, yeah, not a great race. Not what I wanted. Always rough when you don't match your practice pace and you find yourself chasing yourself. Yeah, it wasn't made easier that um despite being a little bit quicker than those behind me in qualifying, it's like no, they were putting pressure on during the race, and um that sort of like little advantage I had in qualifying didn't seem to transfer over to the race, and it's like well, I know I can do faster lap times, but yeah, yeah, not a good day when your fastest race lap is 3/4 of a second off your fastest not quali, practice lap. And sometimes it's like, oh, I feel saved. Oh, I've not feel saved in practice and then started feel saving in the race and just made it up as I went along. And it's like, okay, in that case, you can understand it a bit and you're not too worried about lap times. But, even then, as doing the feel save in the practice, because I knew it was going to be important. Yeah, bit lost. But, I didn't mean to switch back to that. But yeah, that is going to be it. I will be back on Tuesday for the second round of our Formula 4 series on Sao Corsa. We're racing at Autodrome Most. First time I've raced it as a track, so it should be good fun. Again, with the 20-minute sprint race and the 40-minute feature race. We had a good feature race we had at Brazil. Obviously, the sprint race, it was a really good start, but then, it all slid away, shall we say, um, on the opening lap. But yeah, looking back forward to getting back in the single seaters, doing a bit more Sao Corsa. The next Le Mans Ultimate race will be on the 26th of this month, and it'll be the rescheduled fourth round of the SRL WEC Championship. Of course, we had the first two rounds, Imola and Spa. Spa, of course, being in the wet. Running the 19 Genesis earlier this year, they went pretty. No, I didn't go that great. Imola was going well until it wasn't. Spa had a moment, but still went all right. Yeah, obviously I missed Le Mans. And of course, LMU was giving a low server. Server never started for Interlagos, so it had to be rescheduled. So we have that coming out, and the week after then is the fifth round at Coda. Um, so back-to-back races for that series. Looking forward to that, getting back into hypercars. Um, yeah, getting back into the Genesis, which of course we won the Silverstone race at last Monday. So hopefully that's a good omen for Interlagos, which of course we were just racing on Tuesday. But yeah, thank you, Eddie. Thank you, Dave, for probably in chat a little bit. I hope you enjoyed that race and me messing that one up. Yeah, thank you as well to anyone that came in, lurked during the stream. Hope you enjoyed. And of course, anyone watching the VOD back. Hopefully, I'll see you again on Tuesday for the Formula 4 series. But if I won't be seeing you till the next LMU stream, I'll see you in a couple of Wednesdays' time. Till then, have a good weekend. Have a good start to your next week. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.